Alrighty, hello, everybody. Welcome in and welcome back to the Frogs of War podcast. It's been a little bit of a hiatus since we've had an episode. We've also had a lot change over at the website, as you can probably tell by just hearing this voice, seeing the face if you're watching the YouTube. We are new. We are new hosts. We are new editors, managing editors here at the site. You may recognize Anthony and myself from some of our previous articles, even Orion's Ramble podcast last year. But alas, we are back with the Frogs of War podcast. We're going to do our best to keep TCU content rolling probably once a week, definitely through baseball season. We're going to be cranking these out during the postseason run. But yeah, excited to be here, excited to talk about the Frogs. So again, if you don't know, we are the managing editors now, Anthony North, Ryan Bennell ourselves. We're going to be your host on this new era of the Frogs of War podcast. So be sure to keep up with us on Twitter as well. I'm sure if you guys are readers and listeners, you already know the Twitter, but it's at Frogs of War, and you can check out our personal accounts as well. I am over at Ryan Bennell 8, and Anthony is at North_Anthony. So a decent amount to talk about today. We got TCU baseball rolling. The non-rev has been killing it in this spring. We also have a little bit of fun to end the episode with the survey results that were posted on the site not too long ago. We'll be going through those and giving our takes. But first up, how about that Santa Clara sweep this weekend, Anthony?
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, it was great to be back in Lupton, back bats heavy. Lot of guys getting on it on the base pass. Really just putting together two back-to-back sweep series wins is huge going into this postseason, and really excited what everyone is going to see this week in Arlington for the Big 12 tournament. Obviously, winning those games is big, but I think a lot of what we saw around the country and around the conference is really where some of our eyes were. It was good to see that the team kept their focus and was able to really continue to play really well. But how things shook out around the conference, and we can dig into it. But for the Frogs to get that number one seed, get that trophy, standalone, sole ownership of that trophy for the Big 12, really exciting. Huge for Kirk Saarloos, and in his first season here, head coach, taking over from Jim Schlossnagle, and really just big for the program to see that this success can be sustained. That it's not a one-man show, that things are going to continue to roll through the future, and here in the present is huge. So really exciting things happening here for TCU baseball.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there. Yeah, exactly. Especially after kind of there at the beginning of the season. I don't want to say there was like woes, but there were definitely some losses where you're like, we really shouldn't be losing that, guys. And a little bit of question marks, but then, like you said, everything kind of just fell into place at the end of the season. And it's not like TCU was gifted anything. We beat Tech. We beat Oklahoma State. We won those series. Those were huge series. But yeah, it was kind of weird because this weekend, although it's nice to finish, the season on a home sweep in front of a home crowd at Lupton, Santa Clara, they're non-conference. They're not ranked. So you're right. It seemed like most of our eyes, even if we were to drop a game against the Broncos, which thankfully we didn't, nobody necessarily cared. Everybody was just watching the Tech, watching the OU score. So, and for those that don't know, the situation basically was while we were playing Santa Clara, TCU, in order to take sole claim, just numero uno, the only numero uno of the Big 12 title, they needed Oklahoma to win exactly 2 out of the 3 games against Texas Tech. Otherwise, if Tech had won 2, they would take a share of the title. And if Oklahoma had won all 3, they would take a share of the title as well. So super, super close. It was almost like, no flashbacks to 2014 football. I put that in my article because we don't want no co-champions anymore. Like, we're clear, we're steered clear of it. And what's crazy is first place to 6th place in the Big 12 was decided by 2 games.
2 games.
It's nuts.
Yeah, it's a really deep conference, no question about it. And for some of these teams that were going into the season number 1, number 2 overall in the country, Texas, Oklahoma State, really ended up in the last couple days not part of the conversation to win the conference, even though obviously they've had very strong seasons and will continue into the offseason. So yeah, super strong conference, and just incredibly impressive to come out on top. The other one that we had to keep eyes on, but that team down in Waco came through for us on Thursday night with a walk-off thriller where the Baylor was playing Oklahoma State. So Oklahoma State still had an opportunity to also tie with TCU for a share. In that situation, the Frogs would have still been the number one overall seed in the conference tournament, but it would have had to be a shared title. And yeah, that Baylor got down big and had to claw back and extra innings, walk off home run. Really, I hate to have to sit and watch a Baylor game and celebrate them rounding the bases, but that we were all on the same team, and I guess it was that case, rooting for Oklahoma once, rooting for Tech once, and so that it was a really fun end of the season, and it was nice to kind of just be able to sit back and watch that play out, and it worked out as perfectly as it could have in the best case scenario for TCU.
Yeah, that was really nice, just kind of not having to worry about it for that last series. Well, I mean, we were worried about it, but there's nothing we could do about it.
Right.
So also love the those guys down in Waco, just those guys. But no, there was also even a couple other external factors too. Like, of course, Oklahoma did their damn thing, clutched up for us, hallelujah. But before that, like a couple weeks back, Texas Tech swept Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State swept Texas last month, which ended up being really big in terms of the Big 12 race. So I could not think of a more Big 12 way to end the regular season. Like, it's just chaos.
And yes, we didn't have to go back and talk about head-to-head this or strength of this or that. It's just the record ended up and we were done. Took the number one, and that's the end of it. So
yeah, I've had a couple buddies even be like, well, how come we won the conference if Texas is ranked higher, Oklahoma State's ranked higher? I'm like, sorry, not how it works, buddy. We won the games. Okay, we won where it counted. We'll take that trophy, yes, sir.
You have to sweep Kansas. You have to beat Kansas State. So everybody else has to do. You got to win the games that you're supposed to win, and the Frogs for the most part did that. I think. There was certainly some concern coming out of West Virginia series, Oklahoma series that probably TCU felt like could have won and should have won, and to still, with a sweep of Tech and with a series win at Stillwater, still get that record to the top is big.
Yeah, no, exactly. TCU definitely won the games when they needed to. And just kind of going back to this weekend, even though, of course, it wasn't the end-all, be-all, like we said, it was beautiful, though, to see the Frogs' bats swinging like they were. It's exactly what you want to see to end the year. They're getting hot at the right time. 7 straight wins now on a little win streak heading into the conference tournament. Riley Cornelio, Marcelo Perez were absolutely dealing over the weekend. Porter Brown is just putting up ridiculous Porter Brown and May numbers like he did last year. And Tommy Sacco, too, with 2 home runs on senior day. Overall, it was just absolute dominant weekend from the Frogs. So very nice to see now that we're going in as the 1 seed, taking on 8 seed Baylor. It starts on Wednesday. So if you're Sarloos, who do you give the call for game 1 in the tournament on the mound?
Oh, if he's healthy and right, it's got to be Cornelio. Even though he pitched most recently, and maybe you're thinking to save him for a game later on, but you got to win the games in front of you. So I think if you go ahead and throw Cornelio out there, let him, chew up through some innings as he can, and turn it over to the other guys for the balance, and maybe bring him back Sunday if you need to, if the Frogs make it that far. So I think that's the way you'd like to see it go. But if coming off a long start and maybe you're saving him, yeah, there's this TCU pitching staff probably doesn't have some of the names and some of the arms that we may have gotten used to with Brandon Finnegan's or that kind of Preston Morrison type, where
Brian
this
Howard.
is an ace, ace. but it's really deep. I think you can go 3, 4, 5 where there's not a huge drop off. So I think the Frogs can feel pretty comfortable whomever they throw out there, and know that whatever happens in that game, the next day you'll have somebody ready to go, who can pick up the next game. So I don't know who it's going to be. I think it would be great if it's Cornelio to go really just have a dominant day against Baylor. But whoever it is, it'll be a stud that'll take it to the Bears.
Yeah, I mean, there really is no going wrong, because I totally agree. That's a good way of putting it too. That there really isn't necessarily that like clear cut ace, but in some ways, I kind of prefer the roster that we have in the style of like, if it's Cornelio on the mound, hell yeah. If it's Perez on the mound, hell yeah. Like they go down the list and it's okay. Like it's not like a sweat type thing where it's like, oh, we're not going to have Finnegan for this game, like back in the day where it's kind of a little nerve wracking without him, because you just know you could rely on him so much. But I think I would also go Cornelio. He's right now, like I would say Cornelio is our ace at the moment. But I could also see a case for Perez just to keep Cornelio for that second round game, because second round we're going to be facing, if all things go well, don't want to jinx anything, but then we'll be facing the winner of Texas and West Virginia, which is not an easy game.
Huge game.
Yeah. So, and the thing also about that is I guarantee Texas and West Virginia are going to be putting up their ace too. So if maybe we save Cornelio for game 2, that might be a little bit of an edge, but I don't want to get, too far ahead of ourselves. We got to win game 1 first, but
right. And Baylor is no slouch either. I mean, obviously they took down one from Oklahoma State this past weekend, and it's not going to be a rollover type game. The Frogs are going to have to come out and take that game. And yeah, maybe you throw someone like Cam Brown, or even, I don't know, Caden Parker or Austin Krob to just get a few innings out of the way. So just get 3. If you can get through 3 or 4 and let some of the long relievers take a couple innings out, and save all of those kind of weekend starters for the rest of the tournament, that might be a way to handle it as well.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. There again, like there really is no going wrong right now, I think, with the pitching staff in this situation. But man, that is just a tough path though, because you're right, Baylor's no slouch. Like I was looking through when I was writing the recap article about the Big 12 championship, which also, go check that out on Frogs of War. But I was writing it and I was ranking the teams, listing them out and showing their record. And I was like, man, like Baylor was, I think, 7-17 in the conference. And I was like, it feels like they were not 7-17. Like it feels like they came up with some random big wins here and there. So they're definitely capable, just definitely not as consistent as the rest of the bunch, it seems like. So, and always, regardless of football, basketball, baseball, we're playing Baylor. Like
take them down. No mercy.
Take them down. I don't care. I don't care where they rank in the conference right now. Just if we have to pull a Kansas on them and beat them to 30-3, by all means, let's do it.
Beautiful thing.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. But overall, what would you say your predictions for the Big 12 tournament is?
Oh man, predictions for the tournament. I think TCU ends up taking the loss in that second game. I think that is going to be the toughest game of the tournament. And that's where the winner of that game has an excellent path to the title. So that is a huge game. The loser of that game can still get there, but then you have to get past that team twice. So that's where, if the Frogs get that game, book it. We're playing Sunday.
Yeah.
If not, then it's a huge hill to climb, and I think they drop one of the ones on the way there. And we'll touch on it here in a second, but that's where I think if TCU wins wins the first game, obviously wins the second game, I think it's probably closed that they will be a host. The Frogs will host a regional at that point. I think if you lose that second game and then lose your double elimination, it's going to be really tight.
Yeah.
So from the other side of the bracket, we've seen now Oklahoma State and Tech play a bunch, and Oklahoma, and it's a bloodbath. It's going to be such a
Yeah.
battle.
Yeah, it is.
How that ends up, who comes out to play the other side. So there's no telling. I think if I were to throw my guess behind it, if I had to give a prediction, I would say we see Tech and the Longhorns in the final. I hate
I think
it,
that's fair.
but
I know I hate it too, but I think that's a fair prediction because I also was going to say, it's hard to predict a loss, but I think it's very reasonable to drop that second game, especially because, these teams are going to be going a little bit harder for it, more so even because we already have the regular season title now. So, and not that that's a reason to like cool off the Jets a little, but it's just situation wise, it's going to be tough. But I agree with what you said as well. If we do get past Texas or West Virginia, probably Texas. Or no, it's actually Oklahoma State, not West Virginia.
okay.
Yeah.
Well,
I flipped them. Yeah, it's Texas, Oklahoma State. So
then yeah. Still, I think the point
still,
still
I mean,
stands.
yeah, I think so. Yeah.
That still that game is that's even more so,
Yeah, exactly.
even crazier, that game. I mean, it's you're talking about your second round matchup being the team that won the conference against a top 5 team.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like
exactly.
it's a tough road, but it's a tough conference.
Yeah, that's the Big 12 for you for sure. But no, I also agree too that that's where kind of the nerves come in the sense of, yeah, we already have the regular season titles. So, like, I won't be super distraught if we don't win the tournament. But man, getting those 2 wins, hosting a regional would be very, very nice. Especially just again, Kirk Sarlow's first year to host a regional, win the conference. It would just be amazing just to add to the resume.
Yeah, and to do the double, to back the conference tournament and the regular season, even with a regime change, it would be a huge testament to the program that TCU has, for sure.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I mean, I don't know, because I can't really claim that I'm like a major NCAA baseball guru. I know TCU baseball. That's really it. But I was going to say, like, I feel like if we do that, that just solidifies us as one of, like, without a doubt, blue bloods of college baseball. Like, we are now in that upper echelon of programs.
Right. It's not the forever long history. Let's go back to like
Mm-hmm.
1960 and talk about whatever. But it is, TCU made a run and has been at the blue blood level for
Basically a decade
a
plus now.
decade. Yeah, for 15 years, 12 years at least.
Yeah.
And that's been built. And I don't think, I think TCU has definitely built that cachet where even with, I know there's a lot of talk about like rankings and RPI, computer rankings and stuff like that, where the Frogs are out of the top 30 right now. And obviously playing in the conference tournament will change that a lot. Big opportunities against top teams could move that substantially. But even with that, TCU won the Big 12 and has a long history. It's it's the kind of thing of that, like, we hate to point to in something like basketball of like, oh well, we don't have the history, it shouldn't matter, it put us in the tournament anyway. But for TCU and the facilities at Lupton, and certainly NCAA baseball is very comfortable sending their tournament to Lupton, to Fort Worth. It's a healthy host that everyone's comfortable and puts on the full show for the tournament. So I still think TCU needs to win 2 games to guarantee a host. I don't think we're there yet. I think it's still high likelihood, but lose to Baylor and you're in real trouble.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think if we lose to Baylor, I would say it's almost out of question. Well, not fully out of question, but I would lean towards no if we lose the first round game. But Furthermore, do you think the Frogs could do enough to jump up into a top 8 seed?
Oh yeah, I mean, you look at the teams that would be on the slate to make a run in this tournament. If TCU takes the trophy on Sunday, it'd be hard to keep them out of that.
Yeah, I
I
agree.
think the wins that they would have to pick up on a neutral field and in the highest leverage, and understanding that some of the teams around the Frogs in the standings may take some steps back in their respective conference tournaments. That the entirety of the top 8 will not be SEC teams. I don't think so.
I would hope not. Jesus.
So somebody has to take those other spots, and obviously there will be some looks out west and looks to the ACC, but at that point TCU will have as strong a case, and again all the things we just talked about would stand up and then be at an even higher plane. So it's definitely possible, but I think it has to come with the trophy. Without that, it's probably not happening.
Yeah, I agree totally. It is kind of weird, just that idea of now that, like you said, TCU kind of does not like earn stuff, but they're respected enough to be placed in it or in the conversation just because now they have that history. They've been there, done that a little bit. And it's a little bit ironic because I'm kind of like, oh, just stick us in the top 8. Like, we're TCU baseball, man. Come on. And then go to football and basketball, and I'm looking at other schools like, screw them, man. Like, they didn't even do anything this year. But the thing is, we did do something. And if we win the conference tournament as well as the regular season, I don't care how good Oklahoma State and Texas, their out of conference record, how strong it was, doesn't matter. We beat them in 2 different places. It's like you can't put them above us in that, that matter.
No doubt. And we're kind of jumping ahead just to think of like, all right, what if, but I know. I don't want to, I'm worried about jinxing and all of that. I'm really nervous about that kind of thing. But no, I agree with you totally. I mean, we would hold that over, and certainly nobody at that point, nobody in the Big 12 should have a seed higher than the Frogs.
Yes.
Maybe that means you're still not in the top 8, but we'll debate that point next week.
Yeah, I was about to say, that'll be a conversation for future discussion. But yeah, I don't know. I think we're not fully jinxing it. It's not like we're saying, oh, we're gonna win the tournament. Like we even said we might lose. Yeah, so it's a what if. We're just talking about all the options here, because I also, I'm a little superstitious in that sense. I don't want to be the one to say it, because as I've learned from a couple Frogs of War Twitter incidents, don't count the outs, guys.
Don't count outs.
I messed up one time. Oh,
yeah. The language around baseball is very precious, and we're learning that, and that's great. That's part of the great thing about baseball, and the fun that we have with those that follow us, for sure.
Yeah. Because I mean, we ended up winning the game, but we were up by like 1, and I was like, 1 more until a Horned Frogs win or something, and they were like, "What are you doing?" And I'm just like, oh, I immediately knew when people were commenting. I'm like,
yeah,
oh my god, I just did oh my god. It is what it is, though. You live and you learn. All right. Is there any other TCU baseball topics per se?
Yeah, the one thing I was just earlier today, just kind of checking through some of where the Frogs stood in some of the categories of just like how do we stand up statistically? I think we feel pretty good about the lineup top to bottom. I mean, we talked earlier about Preston Brown.
Porter Brown.
Sorry.
No, you're good. Yeah.
As like he's killing it right now, and he's hitting in the 9 hole, right? So we feel really confident about the lineup top to bottom, but are they really? Is that just our kind of purple glasses? And so I was checking out, so thinking of like looking now in the Big 12 conference, on base percentage, 3 of the top 10 are TCU players.
Okay, that's pretty solid.
Taylor, Nunez, and Sacco.
I was going to say Nunez has to be up there, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, no one's touching like Melendez and some of the guys that are really just crushing bombs. So, some of your slugging percentage and stuff like that, but just your pure ability to get on base the top of the TCU order is the best in the league, and it sets the table for big innings and to get things going. And obviously, I was also looking at Nunez has only gotten caught stealing once on
That's
30 attempts.
I was just about to say, like, because
It's
it's
nuts.
not only they get on base, like Nunez, especially out of anybody, will just bully people in base running and stealing and everything. Like, he just tortures the pitchers.
Yeah, Sacco with 17 steals is seventh in the country or in the conference. But yeah,
Still
Nunez
solid.
is second at second, but only caught stealing one time.
That is nuts.
He's a beast.
Yeah, that's one of the survey questions we'll get to in a while. It was like, who's the fastest? Nunez stealing second was one of the choices because my God, he's just he's there in a flash. I always think it's so funny too when like the opposing pitcher will do like a check down like 3 times, throw it to first base, and he's basically just trying to get Nunez to stop, and then Nunez goes anyway, and he gets it. Yeah, so they just can't do anything about it. It's over for them. But no, I think statistically, word vomit. Statistically as well, if you're at the top of the Big 12, chances are you're probably in the top echelon of the country as well, because it's hard to say who's the best baseball conference. I wouldn't necessarily say Big 12 is number 1, but it's still pretty good. So got to give credit where it's due. But alrighty, though, I think that is all we got on baseball for this week. We'll definitely keep updating throughout the Big 12 tournament as we go. Anthony and I are going to be going to the games at Ranger Stadium, so we'll be covering those. Keep up on the Twitter, and of course, we'll be having articles for recaps and everything like that. But next week, we'll see how things go. We may have a completely new discussion after the Big 12 tournament. Who knows how it'll go down? But all right, other than baseball, finishing the year off strongly, the spring non-revenue sports, I can't even name just one because all of them have been doing absolutely amazing this year. Tennis just finished their season up with tied the best record of the program since 1984 with 26 match wins. And they just fell in the Elite 8 to 8 seed Kentucky 4-3. It was a very, I don't want to say disappointing because it's just one of those things where you have to look back and like, man, like we accomplished so much type thing. But also would have been really cool to lift both the indoor national championship and the outdoor national championship. But also beach volleyball, golf, track and field just finished up their Big 12 stuff. But let's focus on tennis just for a little bit too, because I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm not a tennis guru, okay? I'm not going to be able to give you any analytical like mastermind visions, but I saw what I saw, and the team played really well together. They really bought into what Roditi's doing. He is a fantastic coach. I mean, I was just looking at some of his accolades, man. 5 Big 12 titles in 6 years now, excluding the COVID year because that was a gap. The tournament, 7 of the last 11 years he's coached here. A Final Four appearance, and now 2 Elite 8 appearances. Like, I mean, what more could you ask for? Like, that's just amazing.
Well, yeah, and an indoor national championship this season,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, I can't forget that.
You could say, well, you could ask for raising the trophy. Well, they've done that this season, so yeah, incredible job done to build this program and continue to build this program, and that the tournament performance, once they moved on to the portion of the tournament that was not hosted by local hosts. So the first couple rounds were as the top seed in the tournament. TCU was the number 1 overall seed, and just really ran through their first few rounds to get to that Elite 8, playing on the purple courts here in Fort Worth. So excellent job getting to that point, and really a heartbreaker in the Elite 8 match with Kentucky. Took the doubles point. So I guess maybe for those listening who don't really know or haven't paid attention to how the tennis works at the college level. So in each match, there's, I guess, do you call it a match? A game? I don't. Yeah. So I guess in the match it starts with a round of doubles where there are 3 doubles matches, pairings, any case, there's 3 doubles contests, and they play a set and win 2 of the 3 sets, and you win. That's 1 point, and then you have your 6 singles go head to head, and that's comes to a best of 7. Um, in this match in the Elite Eight, TCU took the doubles point. TCU was took the next 2 on singles, and then Kentucky started to kind of creep back, and it came down to a final point with Juan Carlos Aguilar, and it went into the final set, final point, and he was serving and had a serve broken, and that was it. The season ends like that, and he's a star. He's a
Yeah, he's
superstar.
been amazing
He's
this year.
excellent. One of the top in the country, and he'll have his opportunity with singles coming up later in the calendar.
Yeah, he's
But
still in Champaign, Illinois right now. He's still playing. Yeah.
yeah. So more to come for him certainly, but it was a really unfortunate, just like kind of heartbreaker for the team to drop. And Kentucky did end up winning their Final Four game and lost in the finals to Virginia, a team that TCU beat twice this season.
I was just about to say, God damn it, that's frustrating.
So it's just like it is right there. It's right on the cusp of that championship, and but that's the way it goes, and we know. I think there's obviously plenty of faith in Roditi to bring this thing back to next season. They'll be ready to roll it again, and hopefully an even deeper run.
Yeah, because especially a lot of the guys that dominated this year are pretty young too. Isn't Juan Carlos Aguilar freshman or sophomore?
Yeah, I think so. So yeah, and I mean he's bringing folks in every year, transfers in, and
International players.
It's
Mostly,
almost entirely
I was about to
international
say,
players.
yeah,
Yeah,
like all international players.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which I mean, for tennis, that seems to be the way to recruit.
It's working.
Yeah, it's working for him. But yeah, like we said, Juan Carlos Aguilar is one that is still in Champaign, Illinois, to compete in singles. Also, Luke Famba is there, and Jake Fernley. Those 3 are going to be staying. So Luke Famba and Juan Carlos Aguilar are competing in singles, and then Famba and Jake Fernley are going to be playing together as the number 1 seeded pair in the doubles event. So those matches begin Monday. Well, I guess by the time this episode comes out today, because we're releasing the audio on Monday. So it begins Monday, May 23rd. The draw for who they'll face has not been announced yet. But again, yeah, bummer way to end the season. But hey, there might be an individual accomplishment in the future for the Frogs. Might see something come the next few days with that. But yeah, I mean, it's just sad. But like you said, they are right there to have a push next year. I don't see any drop off coming for this program. If anything, they're just going to get better. But man, that is, I didn't realize Virginia won it. That's a bummer because we literally beat them twice. Yeah. But like I said, finished the year with 26 match victories, most since 1984. Held the number 1 ranking for the majority of the outdoor season. Won the indoor national championships, like we said. I think my take is we just had to let the other guys have a chance. We were number 1 all season. We were like, all right, I guess Kentucky, you can have your turn. Like, it's fine. But overall, hell of a season. Super fun to watch. Not often that I say I'm excited for college tennis, but man, it is fun watching the Horned Frog college tennis. Like they are fun. Those games too are fun. Like
it's really exciting. Yeah. I've been to several this season, and yeah, it's the crowd gets wild, and sometimes the umpires have to call over, like, everyone calm down. The people, it's a good time, and yeah, it's a great team to follow, obviously, and it's a beautiful facility out there. For the most part, it's free. I think that in the tournament it was like $5 to go, but generally you go, it's free. It's a beautiful Fort Worth day. Go check it out. It's one of those, we call it a non-rev program because it's not one of the, you don't buy season tickets to go see them play, but they're top notch, and it's a great experience.
Yeah, that is somewhat of an irony in all of this, is like the TCU non-rev sports. It's like, I hate saying non-rev almost because it's like I don't know. You
It
don't want
feels dismissive, but
yeah, you don't want to
it's
diminish
clearly
their
not.
accomplishments.
Right.
Yeah, like tennis and beach volleyball aren't going to be bringing in millions of dollars like football will for the athletic program. That's just the fact of the matter. It's just kind of I don't know, just the way they've been grouped is like non-rev sports. But speaking of volleyball now, beach volleyball as well had another excellent season, ending in the Elite Eight as well. Kind of, man, soccer last year in the Elite Eight, then tennis this year, beach volleyball this year. It seems like the Elite Eight is just frogs are getting stumped there. But all in all, just a hell of a year. They were top 5 most of the season, beat the number 1 team on 2 separate occasions, lost 2 games all season. So it was, again, just kind of, you can't discount it. You have to just be like, wow, they accomplished so much. But again, it is kind of a bummer that the season ended the way it did and they didn't get to hoist the trophy.
Yeah, the 2 losses, it sounds like, oh well, what were there, like 14 games? No, it's like 36 games or something. Like they it's a very long season, and they play a lot each week. It's like they play 3 matches usually, so at least. So they amassed a lot of wins, and they were really excellent all season. Remaining at the top for most of the season, um, with big victories all over the country. Um, you know, yeah, and they were the number 2 seed going into the tournament, had very high expectations, um, made it through their first match, into the Elite Eight, into the double elimination portion of the tournament, and again, just kind of a heartbreaker. They ran into a Georgia State team that kind of upset minded. They were the lower seed in their first match, were the lower seed obviously against TCU, and just had no quit. There were lots of opportunities, I think, for TCU to really bury the Panthers there, and it just kind of didn't happen. There were a couple of controversial calls, a couple of controversial did someone touch a net or not situations, but nonetheless, they took that match, and then the Frogs followed that up with the loss against LSU as well, who they play in the same conference together, and so there's a lot of familiarity there throughout the season with
They
LSU, and
they beat LSU the regular season, right?
several times.
Okay, that's
Yeah,
what I
I
was about
think
to say.
so.
Yeah,
Yeah, and LSU. The thing is, they were also a very strong team,
yeah.
but those games came down to the final match, and you know, it's not like TCU was getting run off the sand by either of them. Certainly, um, had the opportunity right there, and it's just unfortunate again that hit that Elite Eight kind of glass ceiling right here, and but just like with tennis, absolutely have every opportunity to take this forward. Into next season, and even build on it further. So a lot of young talent, really, I mean, national level, All Americans that are freshmen. Moreno and Alvarez are All American pair, and they were conference pair of the year, and they're one of the top pairs in the country, and they're just freshmen. So there's a lot of growth left for this team, and really the primary spots on the team are freshmen and sophomores. There's only losing 2 or 3 seniors, so certainly huge opportunity to keep this new program on campus. So very young in the scheme of building a program, to have already built it to this point that you're able to really be on the national scale like this. Super impressive. And again, just like we were saying with tennis, absolutely encourage folks to go out to watch these matches. It's very exciting. There's a lot going on at once, in the same way as tennis, where there's multiple courts, so you can kind of there's never a dull moment. It never
Yes.
stops. You can just keep watching, and it's right there by the rec in the sand volleyball facility there. It's well set up for fans to be there as well. So next season, again, if it's a nice day in Fort Worth, come check it out. It's absolutely worth your time. And again, it's just free. Just walk up. They've got an MC out there kind of announcing things. He's kind of cheering things on, chanting it on. It's a really good time.
Yeah, they got the tent set up. It is a very beautiful facility. Yeah, I've had like friends visit from out of state, and they're like, I wouldn't think like, what is in Texas? Why do they have beach volleyball? It's like because we're good, bro. That's why we have it. Like, there's no other answer.
Yeah.
That like it is a really pretty facility, all in all, and just going back to is how dominant the year was. I got the schedule pulled up. Let's just read through a couple of their wins. You got number 12 FAU, number 18 South Carolina, number 16 Stetson. They beat Georgia State in the regular season. Number 3 Florida State win. Number 9 Hawaii. Number 10 California. Number 6 LSU. Number 1 UCLA twice. Pepperdine number 16. LSU again. Like, I mean, literally double-digit top 20 wins. Like, just dominant. They played almost every top team in the country and beat almost every top team in the country. So,
yeah,
very impressive.
They actually talked about that, how the scheduling was built in such a way, knowing that this season was actually the first in beach volleyball where the first round was a single elimination. So they built the schedule. TCU built the schedule in a way to ensure that if they were good, they were getting a top seed with a real good opportunity to reach that Elite Eight point of double elimination, where you really increase your chances to make the national championship. It obviously didn't work out in the end for TCU, but certainly it worked out to get them that top seed, get them to the Elite Eight, and have that opportunity to be put in a position for a championship.
Yeah, no, very, very well said. Yeah. I think it's going to be fun to watch next year as well. They're like, just like tennis, they're kind of right in that same boat. They're just going to build on it. Could be a national title. I mean, honestly, will be a national title contender next year. It's just whether or not they'll make that push. So it'll be fun to watch for sure. But alrighty, and then we got a little bit of golf action going on, college golf. But the team just got done competing in the NCAA regionals. We got one of the new contributors to Frogs of War, Corey Coons. If you guys haven't seen his articles, go check him out. I think it'll be up probably right after, if not around the same time that this episode goes up. He's got a golf recap on everything going on there. And also, we're going to have a lot more of an update because right now it's kind of truly in the middle of everything. So we'll have a bit more of an update on the golf team on next week's episode. But in terms of TCU golf in general, Tom Hoge, everybody's favorite PGA player right now, made the cut at the PGA Championship, and that is one of the last 6 tournaments now he's made the cut. So he is playing really good golf right now, and even did so at the Masters too.
Yeah, two majors making the cut. I mean, he got a top 10 finish at the PGA Championship. I mean, that's incredibly impressive, and he's absolutely on the ascent. I think he's built his way into this spot where he's in all of these events and he's competing with and right in line with all the top golfers in the world. And if he keeps this climb, can definitely see him in position at the end of some of these majors coming up, that maybe he's taking home some of the green jacket next year. I mean, this is incredibly impressive stuff from the TCU guy.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's always hard to predict because golf is just so back and forth, up and down. But he is on his game right now. It is, how cool would it be to be able to say, "Hey, I beat Tiger Woods," because
Right.
he's done it,
Right.
like the last
Right.
5 tournaments. Like,
Yeah.
that's sweet.
It's nuts.
So he's playing really good golf, and yeah, he at one point in the championship this weekend, I think he was in second place on day 2 at one point. But I mean, it's not that he had any bad rounds. He really didn't. He played a great tournament. It was just that Justin Thomas today decided to just go off and shoot like -8 or 8 under, like ridiculous. But anyway, we'll have more of a golf update on the TCU teams, men's and women's, next week on that episode. But also, last but not least on our non-rev discussion is track and field. They just, both men and women's team just competed in the Big 12 championship meet not too long ago. Overall, they took home 3 gold medals and 3 bronze medals, so 6 each. And after the whole Big 12 meet, they now are the number 25 ranked team in the country. So that's pretty sweet. I will say, though, I'm not 100% sure in terms of track rankings. Do you know if it's only top 25 or is it more like beach volleyball? Because beach volleyball is like down to 50.
Right. I Couldn't tell you, to be honest. My track and field knowledge
Same.
is further off than my tennis and beach volleyball knowledge. I can tell you that. I follow what the Frogs are up to, but I don't. I can't say that I keep a national view on it.
Yeah, same here. So, in terms of the TCU team, the relay teams were really the big highlight of the tournament. The 4x100 men's squad of Bryson Stubblefield, I hope I get all these names right, Tino Tenda Madayinga, Kundai Maguranyanga, and Robert Gregory Jr. Well, that was an interesting switch up at the end. They placed first, taking gold in the 4x100, and they broke the meet record with a time of 38.5 seconds, which is the fourth fastest time recorded in the country this season. So they are nationally acclaimed right now. They are one to look out for once we get to the national meets. And then the 4x400 team also had a good outing. They took home bronze, not bras. David Site, Kundai, again, Maguranyanga, Simbarashe Maketa, and Ethan Brown finished third, taking home bronze with a time of 3 minutes and 5 seconds. So those were really the two big highlights. There was a couple big individual performances. We broke the team, or the program record pole vault was broken. So just a couple of neat things here and there. But overall, it was nice that the Frogs took home some hardware. They're now in the top 25. So they got a little bit of momentum rolling into the NCAA West Regional meet, which is starting up this Wednesday, May 25th. So, yeah, everything's just killing it right now, it seems like. It's a good time to be a TCU sports fan.
It's a very exciting time for TCU sports, and there's never really a dull time on the sports calendar for the Frogs. There's something happening, some team competing at the highest level nationally, and certainly within their conferences. It's TCU's a great place. We love the Frogs, and it's fun to really keep up with all this other stuff. I mean, I think everybody kind of knows generally what's going on in football and what's going on in basketball, but I think there's not always that level of attention on all of this other stuff that is also competing at the highest level and excelling on the fields. So it's really fun to dig into that, and hopefully all of you listening and watching can jump in as well and join us as we follow these teams.
Yeah, I think the TCU soccer team, although they don't play in the spring, it is a prime example of just kind of like, they, of course, there's always been a little bit of attention on it. They are our only soccer team. But Eric Bell got here, really built a culture, really built up that program to tournament regulars, making runs the past few years, like having all Americans on the team, like, and now it's to the point where TCU soccer has a big following. Like there are Garvey Rosenthal drinking clubs type thing, like it's a thing. So it's kind of like you can almost see that starting now with some of these other programs. Like it's really to the point where it's like, wow, like, and it is a little bit, I don't want to say sad, but a little bit, I don't know what the word is, but that it takes that, success to really get that attention. But it's also a good thing at the same time, like they deserve the attention and they've also earned it. So it's like, it's good to see it. Yeah, it's good to see it. But all right, we're gonna wrap up the episode with a little fun here. No more sports news per se, but a few weeks back we tweeted an article and posted an article on the website Frogs of War, asking. It was an Ask the Fans. We had a bunch of random questions ranging from will TCU baseball win the conference this year to some random silly ones like who's faster, Eddie Lampkin going to Chicken Express or Elijah Nunez stealing. So a little bit of mix and match with a lot of these questions. Some of them will be outdated, but we're going to go through and just give a little bit of our reactions to them and see if we agreed on our answers per se even. So I believe too, I can pull this up on the video version. So for those listening to the audio version, we'll do our best to keep the explanations going, but YouTube, you will be able to see exactly what we're looking at this. So all right, what do we got here? All right, so this one, we'll start it off with a fun one. Can you see that very well, Anthony?
Yeah, I've got it.
All right, cool. So who would win in a thumb war versus the TCU head coaches? We got Jamie Dixon and Kirk Saarloos.
Yeah, this was a fun one, and I understand why Saarloos would win. I mean, he's a professional baseball player, pitcher. You've got the grip.
Yeah.
I voted for Dixon. I
Oh,
haven't shook both of their hands, so I'm not totally sure. But he's a tall man. He's a big guy, and I just kind of think it might be more of a in a thumb war you need the length situation just as much as your grip strength. So your ability to like reach that thumb over there and pin him
Get it.
down.
Yeah.
I was giving it to Dixon. I understand why Sarlos gets the nod here, though.
See, now you're making me think because I went with Sarloos because of that. Like I was like, oh, he's the MLB pitcher. He's got the grip. His thumbs, his fingers have got to be ridiculously strong. But yeah, I mean, you're right. And Dixon doesn't have a soft handshake by any means. I can't claim anything on Sarloos, but Dixon, he gets in there. It's a firm handshake. So you're right, though. He also has much longer fingers than Sarloos. So why am I debating this so like
It's a tough
philosophically
call.
now?
It's a tough call.
That is.
I'm saying the score should have been closer here. I don't know that this is a he shouldn't
I
have ran
mean,
away with it. I understand, but think if you think it through.
yeah, I kind of see where you're coming from with it for sure. Yeah, I could see a case now for both. But for those listening, it finished with Kirk Saarloos as a 62% favorite in that poll. So we'll go on to the next one. This is basketball themed, a little bit more serious. With the news of Chuck O'Bannon and now Mike Miles both returning to Fort Worth next fall, where do you see the Frogs ceiling this next season? And I absolutely love the fact that the Horned Frog faithful 0% of you guys answered miss the postseason. Love to see that. So there's a lot of faith right now, and only 0.8% said the NIT, which I mean, those are just a hater probably. Not even a Horned Frog fan probably, but whatever. What did you answer?
Yeah, I'm surprised that Kirk Risa got on here and voted on our
Oh
poll.
my god, dude!
I'm sorry. No, we won't even get started there.
Had to be an
No,
Arizona fan, bro.
uh, so and since this poll went up, Damian Ball has more formally announced that he's going to stay professional, or has been reported as such, and Farabello has transferred to Creighton,
Yeah, a little
who
bit's changed.
who is, I guess, now like a top 5 team going into next season. I don't think
Really?
that's Farabello driven. I think that's other transfer driven, but there's seems to be a lot of momentum for the Blue Jays. But
Hey, good for him. I mean,
yeah, I think Sweet 16 or better needs to be the expectation for this team. In particular with Miles back. I mean, that's and Lampkin back. I don't think we noted here. I think there has been some concern like, hey, Lampkin could jump somewhere. I think
probably anywhere he wants, really. Yeah.
anywhere he wants. And so to continue, or at least at this point, it's quiet there is a good sign. And we're really excited to have this squad back. I think that has to be the minimum target is getting to the Sweet 16, which is crazy to say about TCU basketball. But you know, likely will enter the next season hovering around the top 25. And we'll likely, with a few wins and with some other losses from others, jump into the top 25 early in the season. That has to be the expectation, that you win a couple games in the tournament at that point.
Yeah, we definitely got a little bit of respect from the country in that sense. That you're right. I would not be surprised if we did jump into the top 25, especially because keeping Miles just changes a lot. Like this would be a whole different discussion if Miles was going pro right now. But yeah, it is weird, but I love the fact that that's what we're saying about TCU basketball, that the minimum should be at least a tournament appearance, win a game, because it should be. I mean, like this is a good team. And although a couple things have changed, it's still a really good team. They should definitely be able to get. And I mean, we're talking ceiling here. Like, keyword is ceiling, not necessarily expectation. And
Yeah,
I know for sure that the team next year is going to be capable of that. So,
no doubt.
all right, let's move on to the next one. Same thing, TCU basketball. We won't spend too much time on this one. I'm just kind of curious what you thought on it. What is the one thing TCU basketball team needed to add for next season? And the most dominant answer was pure shooter with 60% of the votes.
Yeah, I think it's a mix of that and the 3-and-D. I think I voted 3-and-D on this one, but definitely the 3-point shooting was not always there, and could be the kryptonite at times, along with free throw shooting through the last season for the Frogs, where really cold streaks or just bad timed 3-point shooting was a problem, and really the defense part of it, you always need strong defenders. So if there was somebody who could come in and be a sharpshooter and a shutdown defender, that would jump the Frogs to another level. So that's where I was looking on my vote. But definitely the shooting all around is something we'd like to see improved.
Yeah, I also answered 3 and D, just because, exactly like you said. I mean, a sharpshooter is needed, but if you can also add that two-way on defense, that would be amazing. Because it's hard to say that like Farabello was like a lights-out shooter, but he was a good shooter. He had the best 3-point percentage on the team last year. He just didn't shoot the ball very much. So it would be nice to really get like that one guy where teams are just smothering him anytime he's on the 3-point line, because if he pulls it, it's dangerous. So like,
and then it really opens things up for those guys down low to dump it off or give a pump fake and get a drive. So yeah, it's an element that right now I don't know that the Frogs have.
Yeah, especially because Chuck O'Bannon he's a great shooter. I'm not trying to discount that by any means, but if you pair like a true like 42% 3-point shooter who like only shoots threes with O'Bannon, oh, that opens up so much for the big man, even for Miles to drive. Yeah, there's a lot of possibilities with that. But all righty, though, we're also planning on too for basketball. Oh, this one's a baseball question. Wow, actually, I'll pause real quick. All right, 55% of fans said that we will be in the running, but not win the Big 12 championship for baseball this year. All right, I think I actually answered that too. So
yeah. I mean, I probably have to admit that I didn't see it coming this way. I think we had some very difficult series ahead at the time that this was coming out, and to then kind of get that Tech sweep and the OK State win. Yeah, I mean, I don't think we expected that.
Yeah, clutch time. Yeah, this was also from April 20th, so a little bit back. And another baseball question. With a trip to the College World Series, we kind of already talked about this.
We hit this one a bit, yeah.
Yeah, so we'll go ahead and move on.
We can keep it.
Yeah. So for those listening, Riley Cornelio was the most voted for who would be Game 1 starting pitcher in the College World Series. So right now, Cornelio seems to be the fan favorite for the Frogs ace. All right, here's another fun one. So this is who is the fastest, and we got 4 options. Eddie Lampkin on his way to Chicken Express for the Eddie and one meal. Quentin Johnson on a go route, Elijah Nunez stealing second, or Max Duggan rushing literally any rush play against Texas. Pretty solid options. I'm curious what you put.
Yeah, I think I voted Duggan just for the fun of it's watching the gazelle in the field with the hapless lions attempting to catch him in orange. Yeah, is probably the most fun of these that I enjoy watching run. So that's that's how I voted. Just because nobody's catching him, he's out there, and yeah, I think this is one where because we posted the polls on the blog and on Twitter as well. Mm-hmm. So the votes came out a little bit different. I think the blog has some Duggan stands. There's a lot of Duggan support out there. We'll get to that probably coming up here in a little bit on one of these questions. But yeah, that's how I voted.
Yeah, Max did take the blog poll with 38% of the 262 votes. And actually, Quentin Johnson got second on the blog poll. So the Twitter fans were the ones that really liked Elijah Nunez, because I agree. I voted Duggan because it's both like it's true and fun. I would have wanted to say Eddie Lampkin on his way to Chicken Express, but we all know Eddie Lampkin's not beating Duggan in a foot race. Like, that's not happening. So
let's set it up. Let's go. Let's hit the field. Let's check it out.
Honestly, that's what the people
40-yard
need,
dash. Man. Let's find out.
You know what? Next podcast, screw it. We're just live streaming a Duggan Lampkin race. Like, it's gonna happen. I bet they would be down for it. Honestly,
let's go.
We can make it happen. All right, switching gears now to football. What position group are you most excited to see under Sonny Dykes this fall? And the options are skill positions, so wide receivers and running backs. Then we got O-line, D-line and linebackers, so the front 7, and then secondary.
Yeah, you got to go with the skill position for a Sonny Dykes team. I think that's where most people are thinking here, and that's why it got the 71% of the votes. That's how I voted. I mean, that's what you are excited to see. I think what's important to see, outside of the quarterback play, is really going to be this O-line play that is starting to build through transfers and the guys still on the squad. So I think that's probably the most important of these. But what's exciting to see, Sonny Dykes, wide receivers, running backs, tight ends. Let's see how the fireworks can get. Let's see if we can run out of fireworks again.
Oh yeah, I would love that. But no, I totally agree. Skill positions definitely take the cake for me on this one, just because, like you said, I want to see this Sunny offense. I want to see it implemented. If there was an all of the above option, that's what I would have picked, because I'm just curious, so curious to see how everything works out. But I have a lot of faith, got a lot of faith, as I do every season, and a lot of times that lets me down. But that's okay. It's life of a dedicated fan. All right, and then next up, this one is interesting. If you had your pick, you pretend you're Sonny Dykes for a moment. Who are you putting under center next season? Max Duggan, Chandler Morris, Sam Jackson, or one of the other guys?
Yeah, I think we could dedicate a whole podcast to this question. So
Yeah.
I don't know how much we need to dig into this right now in May. Yeah,
we'll talk about it more when we get into
we'll talk
the
about it more.
Football. Yeah.
I guess I'm kind of curious what people were thinking when they said other. Who is the other? I mean, the transfer portal is an abyss right now for quarterbacks. I don't know, even pretty quickly that the guys who you would have thought could even compete with Duggan and Morris were wiped off the board pretty much immediately. So I don't know what other means unless you're just like throwing up your hands and say it's all bad. Maybe that's what 4% of people are thinking here, but yeah, I don't know. It's definitely a huge question that we will talk about amongst Frog fans every day until fall.
Yeah. Well, so who did you vote?
Oh, I voted Duggan.
Okay, fair enough.
I'm a Duggan guy.
Duggan Stan. I mean, it's so hard. Like, again, okay, I need to save it for next time, because I was about to say it's so hard to bench a guy after he's been there for 3 years. But again, that'll just open a whole can of worms. So yeah, I think those 4% of people that said other, I don't know, maybe they're thinking like Alexander Honig, the big German guy, because he's tied in now. So I don't know what they were thinking, but it also interesting to see 9 or almost 10% of people put Sam Jackson.
Yeah.
All right, and then next up, will the Horned Frog football team make at least a bowl game this upcoming season? 86% of Twitter voters said yes, while 14% said no. I personally voted yes because I don't know. I just don't see us going 5-7 again. I know it's Sonny Dykes' first year. I know it's a whole new regime, but we can win 6 games. I think we can win 6 games.
I think we could win 6 games.
I think we can win more than 6 games, but that's the bar.
I think again, this is one that we could go through the schedule and we could go win by win and see how it shakes out. I think 6 wins is within the likely.
You there, Anthony?
Did I lose you?
Oh, there we go.
I'm
we're
back.
Yeah, we're back.
Sorry.
All right, cool. But no, yeah, I totally agree. I think 6 should be kind of like that, but like almost like the basketball discussion. I think that should be not the ceiling, but the expectation. And then the ceiling could be like 9 to 10 wins, or again, we'll get into that next time. That's a good idea, though. I think we should, on one of the future episodes, go through the schedule game by game, talk about how we see it shaking out, all that. That'd be fun. All right, so I guess this one follows it up. How many wins do you see TCU football finishing with?
Yeah, I definitely voted 6 or 7 on this one. I think there's an opportunity that this gets bigger, and maybe Dykes comes in and really just changes a lot of things, and certainly you would expect that. That's why he's here. That's why a change was made. I think it's a lot harder to do that in Big 12 football than it is maybe in any of the other sports where we would see this. So I don't know that we're talking about a run to the Big 12 title game or competing for the playoff this season. I think that would be extremely optimistic, and I like to be optimistic. But I think right now my optimism is let's make a bowl and let's beat the teams that we can yell at our neighbors about.
I was gonna say that we really want to beat like Baylor, UT. Yeah, that'd be a winning season. You know, if we make a bowl game, beat a couple of our rivals. That's
Which I
more
mean,
than yeah.
and I think there's a portion of the fan base who will say you guys are you're being downers, or like that sucks, and maybe, but
Maybe.
you're
Well,
pro- you're probably right. You're probably right, and I don't know that I've looked forward enough to the football season to be able to say exactly how many wins and how great it's going to go. It's just kind of it's a vibe check right now, and I'm feeling a 6 or 7 win vibe.
yeah, I was a little bit more optimistic, and I put the 8 to 9. But like for me, that was like my peak optimism. Like I could not legitimately answer 10+ wins, because you can't really expect that next year. So I think, like you said, just get the bowl game, start building the program up with Dykes. We already got this. I mean, the program's built up, but now we got to establish a new culture, get that rolling, and then I think we'll be a-okay for years to come. Because this is also a conversation for another day, but I think that TCU and Oklahoma State have the best chance of becoming the next two powerhouses of the Big 12 if we play our cards right. So. All right, on to the next. We may have to end up skipping a couple just because
Yeah.
there's a lot of these.
We did, yeah. This one this is about kind of winning championships in this season, and we talked about a lot of the non-rev sports kind of coming up just short. We've still got baseball still very much on the schedule here. This was released after the rifle team won its national championship. We didn't really touch on that earlier, and apologies to the rifle team.
Oh,
Obviously,
yeah.
the top program in the country. It's the bread and butter at this point. Those ladies are incredible, and they're the best in the country, and so huge props to them. But this was after that, so that's not included in the one here. So looking for some solo tennis, some baseball, and some of these track things to come through to get us to 1 or to over 0.
Yeah. Well, because if you count the rifle, we're already at 1, but I
Right.
think we're definitely more than capable of maybe getting 1 more. Like 3+ is a little bit extreme at this point,
Yeah.
but I think we can get 1, which was the most popular answer. So, all righty. Okay, so we'll touch on this one
Yeah.
real quick.
This is another one we could spend a whole podcast talking through. I think who will win a college football playoff championship first? Any quote unquote new Big 12 member, or UT or OU as SEC members. So any of the Cincinnati, BYU, plus the hateful 8 that remain out of the Big 12. Yeah, I also voted any new Big 12 member. I think
I did too.
just the path will, at some point, the path is going to be simpler because there will be some sort of automatic qualifier for an expanded playoff, and UT or OU are going to have to beat Alabama and LSU, and that's just going to be harder than beating the teams that are left in the Big 12. That's a fact of it, at least as it stands today. And maybe UT and Oklahoma they jump into the conference and take it over. I just
Let's not get ahead of ourselves, Anthony. I don't know about that. Maybe OU, but I just don't see Texas.
Well, I mean, yeah, Texas is already not doing anything in this conference, so good luck.
Yeah, what do they expect? Yeah, good luck. I also put any new Big 12 member, which the majority did. 74% of people voted that. Probably some UT fans got a hold of our Twitter, and that was the other 25%. All right, another fun one. Can't skip this one. Who would you rather fight? A singular Eddie Lampkin-sized horn frog, or 100 horn frog-sized Eddie Lampkins?
So this is a tough one. This is a tough one. I think an Eddie Lampkin-sized horn frog would have some serious spikes. Could spit a lot of blood at you. It's going to be
just stomp on you. Honestly,
it's going to be tough. The majority here voted at 74% voted for the 100 horn frog sized eddies. Now, actual horn frogs in the wild are really small, tiny, really small. However, no matter, I think it's been proven that no matter how much taller someone is than Eddie Lampkin, he's always going to tell you you're too small. Too
Yeah,
small.
don't matter to him.
You're too small. You are too small. So I don't know. I think 100 horn frog sized eddies, that's a pretty scary proposition as well. So I think I'm just staying out of the fight.
Oh, I mean, yeah, if that's an option, I'm running away because my logic was, one Eddie sized horn frog, you can maybe just because I feel like as a horn frog that big, they're gonna be slow. I don't know, like
Yeah.
because they're not used to like wiggling like that fast, like at that size. So I feel like you might be able to get away from it, but also one step and you're probably like, I don't know, like he could literally just push you over like that, if it's that big of a horn frog. Then you go to the 100 horn frog size eddies, and that could just be like, I was trying to compare it to ants, but it'd be like
Right.
100 times worse than that because they'd be bigger and actually like be strong, like they'd be able to do stuff. Like, I don't know. It's dangerous. I don't know what you're doing because if it's 100 of them, chances are Eddie's just gonna stack on Eddie, and then Eddie he's gonna reach up to you and he's gonna get you somehow. But all right, I'm
I
not very
love it.
surprised though that the majority went with the 100 horn frog sized eddies, just because I feel like you might just think you could like shoo them off type thing, but I don't know. Can't underestimate it. All right, this one's a little fun one. Which sport do you want TCU athletics to add to their department most? And the choices are men's soccer, softball, hockey, and gymnastics. So personally, I think it's like for me, it's like a dead split between men's soccer and softball. It's always blown my mind that we don't have a softball team, especially now in the Big 12, especially when our baseball team is so good. Like I feel like it's honestly like a missed opportunity not to have one. But I get it, all the financial aspects, Title IX, everything. But you add soccer, you can add softball. Then Title IX's all good.
Yeah, I think the message here is to athletic director Donati, just add both of these to our roster and let's move on because these and clearly the feedback here was really strong for both men's soccer and softball, and it was that way in the comments, and there were a lot of people like, wait, you are in Texas and in the Big 12 and you don't have a softball team? How's that
Yeah,
possible?
exactly.
So I feel like this has to be on the radar and has to be on its way to being made happening. I don't know how this doesn't happen. But I think on the blog there were more options
There
because
was, yeah. Let's
because Twitter had you know
4, yeah.
only four. So I don't remember what they all were, but I'm pretty sure I voted for something that wasn't one of these, probably rugby or something else. Just kind of probably too niche, but it's just super fun and really great spectator sports.
That'd be
Um,
cool. Rugby would be cool to watch.
rugby's pretty awesome, and you could have men's and women's rugby.
Yeah.
Um, that was my vote.
Yeah, I definitely for the Twitter poll, I had to kind of go with the top 4, and they ended up being the top 4 choices in the blog post as well. But yeah,
Yeah,
like the blog vote also included, rugby, lacrosse, but also because there is a gymnastics club, but not a gymnastics team. There is a hockey club, and the club hockey team is actually pretty established. Like they're pretty legit. Like they're pretty close to being an athletic organization on campus. But all in all, it does seem like the majority of Horned Frog fans chose softball and soccer. They think that those would be the two. So, all right, moving on. A little last fun one. I think this is single coverage, 1-on-1. Who wins in a bump and run drill with Josh Doxson and Jason Verrett?
this is a Sophie's choice. There,
You can't
I
go
don't know.
wrong. Yeah.
Oh my goodness, this is really hard. These are two of mine and probably a lot of people's favorite Horned Frog football players ever. Um, I voted Doxson because I saw Doxson do it to everyone that he faced. He was unstoppable. So that was my vote, and you know, Jason Verrett was incredible as a Horned Frog. Has had a kind of both of these guys, I guess, have had tough pro careers with injuries and situations, but
Yeah.
uh, yeah, I had to give it to Doxson. He's the man.
Yeah, see, I think you're totally right. This is a coin flip. You can't go wrong with either choice. And honestly, I bet they could play one-on-one 100 times and maybe even split it 50-50. Like, because I voted Jason Verrett just because I also got to experience both. I watched both play. But I've always been a little bit of a Jason Verrett stan. He was like my absolute favorite player when he was a Horned Frog. And so I just got to give it to him. I don't know. I just think he could just kind of pull it out like the last flash second before the ball gets there. I feel like he might pull some trickery on Doxson, but who knows? Because if the ball's up there, chances are Doxson's just going to go up and get
He's
it.
getting it.
Yeah, he's going to go up and get it. So that is a fun one. And the results were very split on Twitter. 53% saying Doxson, 47% saying Jason Verrett. So, all right, well, that's a conversation for another day. I think we should. Yeah, this is the last one. A fun one to end it on. And before we ask the question, as Anthony said, I think I saw you say it on Twitter, I forget, but like the correct answer is none of these, that nobody could probably accomplish any of these athletic feats. But if you think you could do any of these, which one is it? And it's tackle Kendre Miller, score one-on-one versus Micah Peavy, win a set of tennis versus Juan Carlos Aguilar, or save a Messiah Bright penalty kick.
What I appreciated about this is everyone's the entire fan base here's complete recognition that there's no way you're winning a set of tennis against a high level tennis player. It's not possible. I probably should have said like return one serve or take 1 point off of, because you're not winning a set.
Yeah, it's just not happening.
As anyone reading or watching or listening to this, that is never ever going to happen.
The skill gap there is just even bigger than probably any other sport.
It's not going to happen. The one-on-one versus PV, I think people can just envision themselves throwing up a shot like oh, maybe he like eases off it, like you check the ball in and you cross half court and just chuck one up and maybe you get lucky and it goes in, and that's really the only way you're making that happen. But I can see that in the realm of possibility. Again, saving a high level soccer player's penalty kick. Maybe people don't realize how ridiculously difficult this is. I mean, the professionals out there probably save a very small percentage of penalty kicks, right? Professional goalies,
like less than 10%,
very small. And to be able to, a person who's not a professional goalie or probably not a high level athlete, right? To say that you could stop a penalty kick, I would say no way, no chance.
Only chance I'm stopping it is if I just stay still and
I hope it hits me in the face. And like and it doesn't also take me and the ball into the goal with it. And then tackling Kendre Miller, I mean, like, good luck ever walking again.
Yeah, I was gonna say that one's pretty self-explanatory. You're just gonna break a few bones if you try and do that. Like, no, because I think I also answered score one-on-one versus PV. Not that I think I can do it, but like you said, just because I grew up playing basketball, I feel like I could just maybe just huck it up, just shoot it, and one of them's bound to go in eventually.
Right.
But yeah, you're right though. Like saving a Messiah Bright PK, that ball goes like 100 miles per hour plus. Like that ball goes fast when they kick it.
The 30% of people who answer that, I don't
know what you're thinking.
No way. It's not happening.
And then I probably wouldn't even be able to return a serve on Juan Carlos Aguilar. So, and then tackle Kendre Miller, that would be my worst damn nightmare, dude. Like with Kendre Miller running full speed at me, no thank you. I'm gonna pass on that.
And I like this question because I think it's a nice reminder of, like, we like to talk about sports and we like to analyze this stuff and think about, oh, people should have done this, should have done that, but like at the end of the day, we're these people are operating at such a different level than normal humans and are so incredibly skilled and impressive at the things that they do that you just kind of have to take a step back and just, no pun intended, I'm sorry about that, take a step back. God, sorry. But you have to consider, like, all right, these people are amazing, and everything that they do you couldn't even fathom accomplishing.
Yeah, no, 100%. Well said. That literally every time I say take a step back, though, now I get like flashbacks. Like, no, please. But alrighty though. that is going to be about it for this first rendition of the new Frogs of War podcast with Anthony and myself. We're going to be back again next week is the goal. We're going to try at least for the remainder of baseball season to get an episode out once a week. Once the baseball season's over, things may slow down. We may move to once every other week for some off-season hype, off-season buildup. We'll see. We might even do some live questionnaires. Anthony was even talking before we recorded about doing like a 20-minute quick live recap or something on Twitter where we break down this news and then take questions from you guys, which I think could work out very well. So if you guys have anything you want to see from us or see from this podcast, please feel free, leave a comment, tweet at us, and we're open ears. So we're just trying to get the ball rolling. Bear with us as we get in the hang of things. This was Anthony and I's first podcast together, and I had a lot of fun. I feel like it went pretty well.
Yeah, this was great. I love chatting the Frogs with you, and look forward to hearing from all the fans out there. So tell us what we got wrong and how, what want to hear from you, absolutely, and looking forward to interacting and talking more.
Yeah, so alrighty guys, we will have this uploaded on Monday. I think the plan is probably going to be Monday upload, Sunday record after the weekend action. So yeah, stay on the lookout for this episode next Monday for episode 2. And you guys stayed till the end. Thank you for listening. We'll see you guys next week.
Thanks a lot. Go Frogs.
Yes, sir. Go Frogs.